Welcome, everybody, to another Coffee and Donuts. We're going to kick this off. I will go over the typical way we run everything. That is, I have some pre-submitted questions here. I will give you some answers for, and then after that, I will open it up. If you have any questions, you can either raise your hand and I'll tell you to come off mute. You can type it in the chat publicly. If you want to send me a private message and you want a full detailed answer to that, just select the tab in the chat where it says just to me, direct message to me. Send it to me. I'll answer the question in full without using your name or anything like that. So start getting your questions formulated and generated. In the meantime, I'm going to go over to some of these pre-submitted questions and we will go from there. First question. How much does it help to have a bachelor's degree in law and justice? Does it make a difference in the hiring process? This depends. This depends on the department you're applying to and if they have requirements. If you're applying to an agency that requires you to have a associate's degree or a bachelor's degree or 60 college credits, then it's a huge difference, right? It's what's going to make the difference between you being eligible and ineligible. And that's number two of your department audit, right? Is are you eligible and is it obtainable, right? They're currently hiring, it's within a commutable distance, and you're eligible to apply. You don't have any disqualifying factors, or you meet the eligibility requirements, I should say. So here's the other aspect of it. Does it look good to have that on a resume and to have that in your application process? Absolutely. If that is all you're banking on, such as, hey, yeah, I just recently completed my bachelor's in criminal justice or, criminal investigation and law or whatever, doesn't matter. It helps, but departments are more interested these days in maturity and consistency. This is a hard one. I'm not saying just because you pursue your degree and you obtain your degree, it's not showing that you're not consistent. But what stands out more is if you got a 4-year degree versus you've been employed with the same employer for 4 years, that employment history is going to far surpass that degree, so to say. That degree is going to be nice. And what I found is degrees really help you later on in your career. They're really good for promotion potential. They're really good for climbing the corporate ladder. As for the initial hire, it looks good, it helps, but there's other things that would definitely stand out more. If you have a 4-year degree, but then you have a bad work history or a bad credit history, those are still going to be, a bigger issue than your degree's not going to outweigh them, so to say. Now, you can articulate things such as, oh, yeah, so I was in college for the last 4 years. I have a bachelor's degree and I was working part time during my breaks in my semester. So I picked up a part time job, working from December to January, or I picked up a part time job for the summer, working May to September, right? So that's why I have sporadic work history. That's explainable. That's articulable. That sounds good. Nobody's going to have an issue with that as long as you weren't terminated from these positions for poor performance. But if you were going to ask, hey, do you have a 4-year degree or do you have 4 years of positive work history? Positive work history is going to win that every single time. So it's not a necessity. It does help. It will give you the edge over someone who doesn't have it. But at the same point in time, where else are you in the hiring process? Are there other factors in the hiring process that are going to have a greater impact? You could have a really good you could have two candidates. One's really good candidate with a degree, a bachelor's degree, and one's a really good candidate without a bachelor's degree. But then when you get to the one without a bachelor's degree, they have a good work history and minimal, police interactions. Maybe they've had a one ticket 5 years ago. Well, you get to the individual that has a degree, no work history, right? Not the end of the world because they were in school that whole time, but no work history, and they've received 3 speeding tickets in the last 3 years. That degree is not going to help you, right? The person with the positive work history and the minimal criminal background issues, or the better background, is gonna beat that degree criteria unless that's a requirement of being hired. All right, next one. For the background part of it, what if you never talked to your neighbors at a previous address, so you don't know their names, let alone know their contact info, or if you are no contact with family members such as parents? This is two part. So let's go to the neighbors first. If say you lived at an apartment complex and you never met your neighbors on either side of you, say you were there for 6 months, you just articulate that, right? I would just tell my background investigator, hey, I lived here at this point in time. I don't know my neighbors, but here is the housing office number and the housing manager number that I have, and I would put them down as a reference, right? Because at least they have some knowledge of your time living there, right? So I would list them. So you would just, but I would don't just list them and call them a neighbor. I would advise your background investigator of that. Hey, I have no way of finding this out. I don't live there anymore. And those neighbors are, I don't even know if they live there anymore. And I've never met them. Like, I don't know their names. I don't know anything about that other than the apartment numbers that were on the either side and directly across from me. It is what it is. Here you go. Here's the housing. And I would just provide that as a reference for it. And at least you gave something and you made a valiant effort. But there's no way for you to go back and figure that out, let alone contact them to be able to see would they provide a reference for you. So reasonableness there. As for the family members, I actually personally have this. There was a family member that I didn't have contact with for a while. That was kind of intentional, as in that family member was going through some issues in life that would have made my affiliation with them would have looked bad for my background clearance. So I made the choice for my career and for my family, so I could provide for my family and not jeopardize my career, to mitigate my contact with them. And that's how I explained it. You know, hey, do you have contact with this individual? No, I don't have contact with this individual. Last contact was this time. Okay, why don't you have contact with that individual? We don't have we don't see eye to eye, or not even that we don't see eye to eye. I've just mitigated their involvement in my family's life, right? Due to some of their past issues. And that's all you say. Now, if you have another reason, you would just explain that, but make sure you do it, you know, very well. Don't articulate, oh yeah, me and my parents don't get along. So no, because now I want to call your parents and see why you don't get along with your parents, even though you tell me, oh, my parents are XYZ, right? Now, if your parents are using, or any family member or any person that you did have contact with was, abusing substances and things like that, I would disclose, I wouldn't go into full detail, but I would articulate that, oh, I've mitigated my contact with this individual just due to the fact that they've had substance use issues in the past. And I don't want that around my family. Plus, I don't want to be associated with that while I'm pursuing a career in law enforcement. Perfectly reasonable. That sounds good. I wouldn't go any other way with this. So those are your two ways to handle this specific situation. Just keep in mind, if you're vague about it, it's going to make them dig. If you elaborate on it, you're giving a perspective, and you don't want to do that. So keep that in mind. All right, next one. What do I do if I have an old public account that has me underage drinking and basically being dumb teen, acting like a rock star, but I got locked out and have no access to it anymore? This is for any account. It doesn't even have to be something that has, any of this negativity in it. This is just any account that you just don't have access to, that maybe is an older account that just doesn't positively reflect your professionalism now. I would immediately try to get this account deactivated. I would file a complaint against it, saying, "Hey, this account is a illegal account or whatever. This account is no longer supposed to be up." I would file that against it. Hey, this account is posting pictures of me that are not approved by me. Whatever you have to do to get that account removed. And the reason, once again, is not to hide something. Matter of fact, let me. I think I have it on my phone. Give me 1 second. I had another message that came through that I'm actually doing another video on here. Where's it at? Give me 1 second. Here you go. And this is not to hide stuff, but this is where you have to flip that switch in your brain and start getting out of your own way and start analyzing stuff from a wider, broader view, right? Don't get isolated, don't get focused on it. When someone hears me say, get rid of your social media because it doesn't properly represent you, that's not, hey, hide this because it's going to hurt you during the hiring process. No, if that doesn't represent you, you shouldn't have it up, because you want to present yourself in a professional manner. I got a message here And I don't understand what the point is in cleaning up your social media when if they find something anyway, then just answer to it. No one with ill intention should be able to bypass this background. And it goes on more. I kind of cut it off because that's the question I'm going to answer here shortly. But ultimately, what they're asking me is this sounds like you're trying to hide? No, it's if I'm your background investigator or your hiring official, and I'm going through your process and I see that you didn't even take the decency to try and present yourself in a professional manner. Why would I hire you? Because then I got to worry about the public seeing all this stuff if you get into an issue with the public. So let me give you a comparison here. That's like telling me, hey, I'm not going to go into an interview in a professional attire in a suit and tie because I typically wear jeans, boots, and a t-shirt all the time. So I'm going to show up that because that's who I really am. No, that's not who you really are in a professional setting. Who you are in a professional setting is someone who's going to wear dress shoes, dress pants, a dress shirt, a tie, and a jacket, right? That would be me. I'm not going to show up, and even this, I wouldn't show up for an interview in a polo shirt and khaki slacks. I just would not do that. So these are the things that you have to keep in consideration. It's not that you're just trying to present yourself in the best light, because if you don't even do that, why should I take you seriously? If you don't even have the common courtesy to try and make yourself seem professional, and I'm your background investigator or your hiring official, like I said, why should I have the common courtesy to believe you when you say that's not me anymore? You know? It's so much better to just say, hey, have you ever removed anything from your social media? Yeah, I've deleted some old accounts a while ago. And that's why you do it a while ago, right? So you're not doing it right before the hiring process. But yeah, I deleted some accounts a while ago because they were just old accounts. They were me, young, stupid stuff. Oh, well, like what? Oh, well, you know how I stated I was underage drinking? I think there was a photo of me doing that. But like I said, you don't have to lie about it. You can disclose it all. You just articulate it properly. So those are the things that you really need to look at. When I'm telling you specifically for this, for social media, you need to get rid of it, because the last thing you want is you becoming a law enforcement officer. The last thing a department wants is you to become a law enforcement officer, you to get into a situation in public where your name becomes, something that people start searching because of some, news story. And then next thing you know, they're finding old images of you underage drinking. Now the department's got to answer to that for hiring you. When they say, okay, listen, no one's perfect, but they don't want to have to answer for that, right? They don't want to have to do it. And you're disrespecting them by not even giving them the common courtesy to properly present yourself in the most professional manner. You're just saying that was the past, accept it. No. All right. If you just want me to accept the past, then I'm going to judge you by your past and say, if you're leaving it up, that's still who you are as a person. And when you're saying, no, no, that's not me, it's okay, then take it down. It's that simple. Hey, before I let you go, I did want to ask real quick, if you enjoy this, know that we go in and we answer all the questions on YouTube. And then if you have any enjoyment from the podcast, from the audio podcast, no matter where you're watching it, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of the other platforms, please leave us a review and like and share it. That's how we get out there, and then that shows me that this is the content that you all want to see, and then it's actually being beneficial. So if you have a comment and you want to ask a quick question, you can ask it over on YouTube. We try to answer all of them for as long as we can, as well as any of the extra gifts that we have for you. But additionally, you can go on to our website. It's Armagan CT, so ARMOGANCT.com. And up there we have live free trainings that we do as well occasionally. And you can keep checking there and see if that's something that you want to jump onto. I hope this all helps you. As I said before, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.